We have church protest fallout, Virginia blue surge, and Havana Syndrome twist, and a lot more here on the Bald Brad Show. Patriots, it's good to see you, and I'm glad that you chose this outlet, meaning the Bald Brad channel, to get your daily dose of what the heck is going on out there in the world. It's good to see you. Hope all of you had a lovely Martin Luther King Day. If you didn't have it off, well, sucks to be you, because I did. And I read a lot. I'm currently going through, before we jump into the news, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And my goal this year is to make sure that I get at least one book read a week, at least. That is the goal. And did a bunch of other stuff. You know, you got to go out there and run the errands, you know, go to the grocery store, get things done, do the honey-doos. You got to get all of it in. So hopefully all of you had a lovely, lovely weekend, as well as, like I said, a Martin Luther King Day, folks. We are going to jump straight in the news here now that everything's pretty much set up. Give me one more moment. We got to fix something over here on the YouTubes. And then we're cruising. We're rocking and rolling, baby. All righty, here we go. Okay, well, let's see what's going on here. You have these anti-ICE protesters storming a church. What the heck is going on here? And I believe there's video of it, so we're going to take a little peek under the hood of what the heck just happened. Federal authorities are investigating an anti-ICE activists who stormed a church service in Minnesota. The protesters, accompanied by former CNN anchor Don Lemon, interrupted worship and demanded, we're making demands now, that congregates condemn ICE. The situation unfolded during the Sunday morning service at City's Church, a Southern Baptist congregation in St. Paul. A group of anti-ICE activists entered the sanctuary mid-service and started chanting, shouting accusations, and filming the congregates. I just want to point something out, you guys. And look, it's a shameless plug, but I would never try to point you towards something that I felt was a waste of your time. I talk about how actual fascists utilizing historical context and events is exactly what these leftist agitators are doing. Like their tactics, it blows my mind as I'm reading this. It blows my mind how similar they are. They did this to their own communities, by the way. This is what is blowing my mind. Is the actual fascists of the time throughout history did this to their own community members. It's nuts. Anyways, where were we? Again, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. I am a published author. Check it out. It's a great book. The protesters accused the church of supporting ICE because one of its staff pastors also serves as an acting field director for ICE's St. Paul office. Oh, so you got one guy out of probably like 100, maybe 1,000 people. Got to storm the church. Yep, there was one guy. Makes total sense. Don't even bother trying to find some sort of logic or reasoning from why these people do the things that they do. Folks, they're mentally unstable. And it's kind of sad because you're seeing a real epidemic here of these people just acting totally unhinged, totally crazy. And, I mean, what do? You can't rationalize with them. You know, they're just NPCs running about and we have to deal with their shenanigans. Well, anyways, it says here that several protesters are associated with groups that led demonstrations over the George Floyd death, of course. Oh, there's some big overlap there. Lemon, who was with these protesters, has claimed that the disruption was simply free speech. Gotcha. But DOJ Assistant Attorney General Harmit Dillon told the Daily Wire that activists don't have a First Amendment right to trespass and invade a house of worship. The Justice Department is investigating the incident for potential violations of the FACE Act and other laws. And some of you brought up the KKK Act, which I heard as well. So that is a pretty interesting thing. Now, it's fascinating that let me see if I can get the clips here for you, folks. It's fascinating that Don Lemon is trying to make a splash for himself. It's kind of like almost ironic. There is some sense of irony in the idea that like the Ku Klux Klan Act would be used against like Don Lemon. I just, the irony of it for me is quite interesting. So here's the X page for this that we were just talking about. Protests block ICE arrest of sex offenders in St. Paul. Hey, it's not far off of when for like 3 or 4 years we used to say that Democrats were in full support of terrorism, right? Because they're sending millions of dollars to terrorist organizations. And by the way, when I say things like that, people's minds are still blown. They're like, what? Like, yeah, no, we're sending $40 to $80 million to terrorists. It's nuts. Well, now they're fully with sex offenders now. You can't make it up, dude. So not only are Democrats flying to different countries to go see these illegal immigrants to make sure they're okay. By the way, they would never do that for you and I. Oh, stop it. Stop it. They would never fly to a different country to make sure that you're getting your due process, you're doing okay, you're being fed, you're getting the video games in the jail cell, all that stuff. No. Are you kidding me? But if you're an illegal immigrant, oh boy, there'll be a snap of a fingers. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Now can I help you? Now they're doing this. On January 18th, St. Paul, Minnesota demonstrators blocked the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement from arresting 2 men with final removal orders, by the way. One convicted of sex with a minor and sexual assault. The other of first-degree sexual assault, domestic violence, and a failure to register as a sex offender. The next morning, about 24 protesters disrupted a worship at a city's church. Yo, I mean, this is what they want to protect, man. These people have a right to stay here. This is, folks, what's great about me doing this show is I live in the lion's den. I live in one of the most progressive states in the union. Some would say the most progressive. I live in California. I've lived here for 36 years, really probably 35, because I did live somewhere else for a while. I lived in another progressive area called Washington, D.C. These people, I've seen it, I've lived it, I've been friends with them. I don't just say this to blow smoke or to be silly or goofy. You have to believe me. Please believe me when I say that they love violence. They thrive on this stuff. They love criminals. They love protecting stuff like this. This is the party that wants to trans your kids, folks. This is the party that wants nefarious things to happen to your children in the school system, which we exposed for literally years to the point we were on Project Veritas in a positive manner. It should come as to no shock that they were trying to protect these 2 men. They love this stuff. And what they'll do, they'll say something totally different with their mouth, which is always ironic, right? Because they're calling Trump a pedo and all these things. But yeah, this is what their actions do. I care more about what somebody does than really what they say. I care about what they say, don't get me wrong. But they salivate over this, man. And I'm using my words very carefully. You're seeing evil is what you're seeing. And when you have to come face to face with one of these people, these protesters, you're not talking to a rational human being. You're not talking to somebody's grandma or somebody's mom, because usually they're white liberal women. Folks, and I do believe this, by the way, while say it, I think you are talking to a demon, is what I think. I think you are not dealing with a rational human spirit. I think you are dealing with a full-fledged demon. So when you approach it in that manner, it kind of does help sort out the idea of, do I even want to bother? Do I even want to deal with this person? Should I put myself in that, that possible violent situation?
Renee, this is the house of God. City every day. Why are you not at Whipple protesting? Why are you not standing up with the Latino and Somali community?
Interrupting worship. That's what these chaos makers are doing. All of this type of behavior is plaguing the Democrat-led city of Minneapolis at this point. A group of angry protesters, heck, let's call them agitators, and when some yell anything other than the protesting, we can call them criminals. They're screaming and chanting profanities in the name of God, actually, they said, to get rid of ICE in the name of Jesus. Renee Good, also something that they were shouting about. She was the woman who was fatally shot by ICE earlier this month after she rammed her car into one of the federal agents. One video appears to show a protester inside that church, calling churchgoers, quote, comfortable white people, while shouting, you have your nice jewelry, but what do you do to stand with your Somali community? We have yet to see either Governor Tim Walz or Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
Well, it's fascinating nonetheless. So you have that from Fox News. And let's see what Tulsi Gabbard actually has to say about this. One of the main reasons I left the Democratic Party, oh, here we go. Yes. Is its leaders' attempts to undermine religious freedom, erase God's presence from every aspect of public life, and their open hostility towards people of faith and spirituality. Now, you do not need, and I'm actually going to contradict myself, which is why I'm hesitant to say this, but I will kind of fill it in my explanation. I don't think you need to be a religious person to live out a moral life, but I do believe that you need religion, meaning the scriptures itself, Judeo-Christian values that come from the scriptures itself, the Old Testament, the New Testament combined, working as one, to live and have a moral life. Does that make sense? So, for example, thou shalt not kill, like something easy, or murder. I guess murder would be more specific. Where do you get that from? You just kind of thought that up yourself? That just kind of came out of thin air? Or was that something that was given and passed down through the scriptures for thousands of years? A lot of the stuff that we live in our life isn't from just random thought of man. It was given down from the heavens by a creator. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of people that are like atheists or agnostic, mostly atheists, that, they do live moral lives. They give more to charity than actual Christians do, or Catholics, or whatever people of faith. They live a very moral life. And then there's a lot of them that don't. But I mean, you could say the same thing about Christians. So that's what I mean is, like, you have Christians that have the scriptures, they have the Bible, but don't live out a moral life. And the question would be like, well, are you actually, washing yourself, cleansing yourself with the word of God? Are you involved in it each and every day to give those reminders of how to act out and live a life of faith? I feel like I'm giving a church sermon right now. I dare declare that you, the Lord, will pass down on me the heavenly body, that the Lord be that I don't need, that I will read your scripture, son. Anyways, where were we? Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, give me a second here. I'm indulging myself. I'm having too much fun. This is the problem. When you actually have somebody that enjoys doing a podcast, they kind of go on random tangents, because a podcast, yeah, we're giving you the news, but it's also about the viewer. It's like a conversation. The only problem is you're not in the room with me. So you just have to listen to me ramble this entire time. It's therapeutic. All right, where were we? Erase God's presence from every aspect of public life and their open hostility towards people of faith and spirituality. I couldn't agree with her more. The anti-ICE mob staging a so-called protest outside a Minneapolis church during a service is the example of their disrespect for religious freedom. Yeah, it's crazy too, because it's like, remember, they're always about the children. Yeah, I'll put that in air quotes. Yeah, you're definitely about the children. Don't get me wrong. They big time about your children. They want to trans your kid. They want to abort your kid. They want to do all sorts of things to children. But it's funny because when ICE is out there doing their arrest, right, and there's a lady that pulls up in a minivan or whatever, like, there's children here. There's children. Oh, think about the children. But yet they'll storm into a Christian church. Don't bother with the children crying everywhere. Not a big deal. Unbelievable. So what do we have here? This is from Matt McDermott. Yesterday, Reuters captured ICE breaking down a door and dragging a man out half naked into the freezing cold in St. Paul. According to his sister-in-law, they returned him after realizing he's a naturalized U.S. citizen with no criminal record. Interesting. So they returned him. I read a report somewhere, and I have to find it, that ICE is, when they ran all the numbers with the people that they're capturing, they are 99.997% accurate, by the way. Something to think about when you hear and read things like this on the internet. ICE is 99.997% accurate in terms of who they get. And this is the part of it, right? They will get somebody. Mistakes are going to happen when you're doing things on a mass scale. I don't know why we have to act stupid and act like, oh, there are not going to be mistakes. Of course there's going to be mistakes. Oh, they're rounding up Americans. Look at they're rounding up Americans, you guys. You found one guy. Out of like thousands of arrests, you find one guy. And that's what they want you to believe. Federally charging a black man with the KKK Act on MLK Day. Yeah. I didn't actually want to spell out the irony of it, but there it is. It's like, I mean, that's a pretty remarkable thing. That's what this guy's to say.
Announced tonight that they have arrested a total of some 3,000 illegal immigrants in Minnesota, including over the weekend, several convicted of crimes such as homicide and sexual assault. Meantime, several dozen protesters remain here at the Fed.
Can we go back? I want to just go back like 15 seconds.
Dozen protesters remain assault and such as homicide and sexual assault memes such as homicide and sexual assault.
Good people. No. These are folks. These are the guys that will go out there and they'll get the snow off your driveway for you. Yeah, these are.
Meantime, several dozen protesters remain here at the federal building, protesting the actions of federal agents, but they are staying behind the newly...
Hey, Mom, what are you going to go do today? It's like a 3-year-old kid just, pushing their Cheerios all over the desk. Hey, Mom, what are you going to go do today? Can we go play together? Well, no, honey, I have to go outside and protest for 10 hours because the Orange Cheeto Man is so bad. He's getting rid of homicidal maniacs that are illegal immigrants off the streets and are sex offenders. Yeah, I got to go protest that. So you're going to be here all by yourself in this chair for the next 10 hours eating Cheerios. If something already happened to you, well, that's just what needs to happen. Freaking psychopaths.
Erected barriers put here by the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. It is a simple and effective so far measure. Newly erected barriers, fully erected barriers, fully erected barriers, fully erected barriers, fully erected barriers.
Yeah, I'm a child.
Put here by the
Guy's freezing his ass off. Hennepin. Poor guy, dude. His face is freezing. It's like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation when he tried to cut down the Christmas tree. Oh, and Audrey's face is frozen.
Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. It is a simple and effective so far measure that raises the obvious question: why didn't local law enforcement do this last week?
Oh well. Gee, great question. Isn't that I'm not trying to poke fun at this, not poke fun, but you're the reporter, bro. Like, isn't that your job to go find out?
Exactly. Jonathan Hunt live in Minneapolis. Jonathan, thanks.
Oh, boy. Oh, here we go. We got this is a little bit of a longer clip, but it's the DOJ announcing intention to charge Don Lemon with the KKK Act. Here we go. We're going to get this down with Benny Johnson.
charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Armin, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is a act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the
I'm sorry, the irony still blows my mind.
Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a man, a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like
It wasn't me. That wasn't me. I swear, guys, you got to believe me. I was here. I promise I was here in California. You got to believe me.
Obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves. And
sorry, I just have to correct this. I hate when people describe stuff about this era. Republican President Lincoln, thank you. And she's about to talk about the southern states. The Dixiecrats, those are Democrats, okay? Just a little history lesson, because this is how they teach it in the school system, folks. It is a pet peeve of mine. I like to be specific on who did the evil stuff here, okay? Thank you.
And yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing
Democrats
to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if three grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President,
I'm going to have to source this out. I don't know if I like that. And let me be more specific. People are like, what would you have a problem with that? I'm just hearing this information now in terms of what the Klan Act and the FACE Act and all that stuff is. It as of right now, it just seems like a stretch of the law rather than just putting something as law that would be a little bit more clear to this. So let me see here. Because the FACE Act, from my understanding, is a federal law designed to protect access to places of religious worship and prevent intimidation, obstruction, or interference. So that's why I don't know what would you need the Klan Act for. That seems like you're kind of a stretch on that one. I'll have to do a little bit more digging on that one. Huh.
Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is there are a number of things. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. You have potentially the use of other instrumentalities to commit crimes. And so some of these folks who did this have self-identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. It isn't. And so, we're getting our ducks in a row. We're putting the facts together. And this is a very serious matter. Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Everyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away for a long, long time.
Well, there you have it. All righty. I think that kind of summed up everything. Here we go. And then you got Gutfeld. Looks like he's blowing his lid on, I think this is either the 5. It looks like the 5. Let's see what he has to say here.
How you got here, and you won't admit that that is the reason why we're this isn't about immigration. It isn't about ICE. It isn't about Trump. It is about suicidal empathy that is driven by a rescue fantasy. You have all of these young, middle-aged women going out there because they have some kind of emptiness in their lives that are going out there in this kind of rescue delusion, helping people they don't know, strangers who are guilty of crimes. How can you defend that? This is not protesters going to a church. That is a mob. The people that invented the phrase safe spaces are breaking it up, frightening kids, right? These are the people that call us fascists and they're hunting people.
Isn't that literally what I said about 20 minutes ago? That it's crazy how in my book I talk about the start of fascism. I literally take you through the history of it, and I take you through their tactics of what they did to their community members. These are people that live in St. Paul, Minnesota, going after people at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, I'm not saying everybody's from St. Paul, Minnesota, because they'll bust people in and do all that stuff, but you get what I'm saying. This is exactly what they did in history. The fascists went after other people. It's just in this scenario, it's the people that think that they're anti-fascists are actually the fascists masquerading as anti-fascists.
The people that claim to defend women and yet are defending men who abuse women. These are the people that call us homophobic, and yet they want to out ICE guys for using, I don't know, gay sex apps. Let's be honest here. Fry's a pussy. He's scared of these people, or else he would stand up for it. Calling it love, there's no such thing as a mob with love. And imagine showing this tape to Don Lemon 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and saying, is this where you saw yourself, Lemon? Crashing a church service, scaring kids, attacking a pastor? Was this your hope and dream to do this? Radicalization is gradual. Black Lives Matter is now bad guys matter. And now you'll defend anything. You're defending rapists. These are the people you're defending.
On what
and I'm going to go back. No. You had your chance. You brought this up. Where are the police? You know, when you have Hamas supporters and Jewish students, police make the separation. Antifa, Proud Boys, police make the separation. Pro-life and feminists, police make the separation. Somehow, that separation is not even here, even when the leaders are framing this as protesters versus persecutors, because that's part of this fantasy world that you live in, and yet they decide that they don't need cops to separate it. The ICE agents aren't supposed to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's what the police do. So you got to ask yourself, why aren't the police there? Because it's a deliberate thing to create this spectacle. And then I'll finish. Mm-hmm. This is not an isolated thing. These rescue fantasies exist because the real power of women, which is in the roles of community, whether it's wife, mother, work, teaching, that stuff has been marginalized by our modern leftist culture that has to be replaced by activism. Your life is meaningless unless you're out there screaming in a cop's face. You have all these sad people out there in this liberation role playing, and you're egging it on. You should not be egging this on, Jessica. You know, we had this This is a time for brave women.
Gutfeld, he's just one of us, man. He just gets it. Common sense. There's nothing elegant. Frustration. A great way to wrap up this segment of the podcast today regarding this St. Paul, Minnesota. I don't even know what you call it. It's not a protest, just people being a-holes going in and disrupting a church service. Well, good morning, Dizzy. It's good to see you, brother. Good morning. We have somebody else in here. David. Good to see you as well. Good to see if there's anybody else new here in the chat, or you've been here a long time and, well, you just want to give it a shout out, throw yourself in the ring. All right, well, we got Democrats here, and we have their agenda, specifically their Virginia agenda. Over the weekend, the Commonwealth swore in a new Democratic leadership team, including a Governor Abigail Spanberger, who we've talked about in the past, and Attorney General Jay Jones, and they wasted no time in laying out their broad progressive agenda that could reshape policy, not just in Virginia, folks, but actually nationally. That's why it's always important to check these little, it seems something so small, but it has a little bit of a broader consequence potentially to it. Spanberger, if you recall, is a former Democrat congresswoman and an ex-CIA officer who made history as Virginia's first female governor. So we're supposed to all get excited because, wow, first female governor, first female this, first black that. It's like, all right, okay, we're tired. That's great. I don't care that you're black. I don't care that you're a woman. I care that your head's on straight. That's what I care about. Your noggin. Winning in the 2025 election by double-digit margin and riding a Democratic wave that also delivered majorities in the state legislature. Just a heads up, folks, you might see something very similar here with the midterms if we don't figure it out. Even though things are going, in my belief, the right direction, I think we're going to lose the midterms, and I hope I'm wrong. Attorney General Jay Jones swore in alongside her, becomes the first black attorney general in Virginia history, and both leaders hit the ground running on policy and legal priorities. ICE and immigration policy, one of Spanberger's first official acts, which is what this is talking about, was reversing Republican immigration policy. Of course, because they want all I could do is just tell you over and over again in hopes that you believe me, that they love this stuff, folks. They want the illegal immigrants there. They want the homicidal maniacs. They want the child, you-know-what-ists, the ra-ists, you know what I'm talking about? They want all of that, the domestic violence. That's why you see this stuff just run rampant in Democrat-ran cities. They'll go, oh, well, it's happening in red states. Yeah, but it's the Democrat cities in the red states that it's happening with. And by the way, even if it was happening in a red state or red city, I don't like that. And I think that the law enforcement should do something about it. How about we don't allow this stuff to take place? But, we're just second-class citizens in our own country. That's all it is. She rescinded an executive order from the previous governor, Glenn Youngkin, that had encouraged Virginia law enforcement, including state police, to partner with federal immigration and customs enforcement under their agreement. The previous agreement had deputized state officials to assist ICE. Sounds like a pretty nice thing to do. A move that, according to data, helped facilitate thousands of detentions. Correct. It's always nice to see the people that are on the streets every single day patrolling the exact same areas, knowing where these people are at, where they live, what they do. Might be a great asset to have. Spanberger gives her the authority to pull Virginia out of that partnership and signals a clear shift in how Virginia will interact with federal immigration enforcement going forward. Unbelievable. So all these people you see protesting that wanted all these, literally, when I say homicidal maniacs, these people committed homicides in their other country, by the way. I'm not saying every single one, but it's a very odd thing that when you hear, whether it's the White House press briefing room, meaning Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, the mouthpiece of the leader of the free world, talk about these illegal immigrants, the ones that are getting removed, first and foremost, that just the heinous crimes they've committed, and they'll still be out there protesting on the streets. The people in the room don't care. We saw that last week. They don't care. They're activists. They're not journalists. It's the same way. There's these teachers. There's some really great teachers, but they're activist teachers. They're not there to educate. That's the secondary aspect. They want to get their paycheck, but they're there to indoctrinate the children and do whatever cockamamie belief system that they have. And because they're a master's degree or PhD, which basically means nothing nowadays if you know anything about the college education system. I got to take what you say as whole cloth. It's sad. I see it, folks. I see the indoctrination in the school system. It's unbelievable. The stuff that, rather than, like, if a student said something to me, I always say, hey, well, why don't you check out this aspect of it? Like, why don't you read this? Or why don't you go look at this? And then come up to your own conclusion. That's what I say. It doesn't matter what I think as your teacher. It should be, hey, you know what? That's an interesting take that you gave. That's an interesting opinion. And then kind of just ask a bunch of questions. Hey, have you read this? Or like, what do you think about this on global warming? Or what do you think about this happening in the world? Why don't you go and read things that might contradict your own thinking? And then it's best to come up to a decision. So read something from the left that wrote an article or a book about, say, global warming, because that's always the one that people want to talk about. And then go and read something from the right and read about global warming. And now at least you know you're going to be BS'd from both sides partially, but you also have little snippets of truth, and then come up with your own thinking. I mean, that's how things should be done. That's how I do it. I don't just think, oh, because some Republican dude said it or some it's conservative, well, it must be true then. No, you research it. Just the same way, I wouldn't expect you guys to believe anything that I say here. Like, you can always verify it, go out and check it out. I screw up, and I have made mistakes here on the show. Under current law, Virginia's congressional maps are drawn by an independent commission. So what they're doing here, and this is a big piece of their Democratic agenda in Richmond, is mid-decade congressional redistricting. So Democratic lawmakers have passed a proposal, a constitutional amendment that would temporarily restore redistricting power to the state legislature, a move that could lead to new maps ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Gee, it sounds a little bit like what California's trying to do. Because they saw Texas do it, and they're like, oh, well, Texas can't do that. No, Texas can. But you want to know what Democrats have to do usually to get around that? Yep. They got to bypass the Constitution, their state constitutions. Uh-huh. Yeah, they got to rip that bad boy up. Very similar to how Nancy Pelosi ripped up Donald Trump's speech during the State of the Union address that one year. That's exactly what it looks like with them. Oh, you mean that Constitution? Yeah, we're going to rip that up. Just go ahead and we're going to pretend short term that bad boy doesn't exist because we want to get our way. Oh, you want to have a nice church service? Yeah, we're going to pretend that you're not having a church service and we're just going to storm it because we want to have our way. Oh, you want to get these homicidal maniacs, these convicted murderers off your streets that are here illegally? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and protest that because we want to get our way. We think that they have a right to live here. Yeah, we want them in our communities. Yep, we want them babysitting our kids. That's how crazy these people are. They're not well, man. I don't know if it's something to do with what's in the food. I don't know if they've done like some sort of medicinal medications that altered their brain function. I don't know what's wrong with some of these people, man. And it could just be that we just have a greater access to information than ever. And now these psychos have always existed. It's just now that we're seeing them run around like NPCs and zombies acting amok because we have the technology to do it. Maybe they've just always been around. You know, like when we go back like 30 years ago when there was like really no cell phones, at least, you know, not consumer wise where everybody can afford one. We didn't see all these idiots roaming the streets with the pink hat that's supposed to represent you know what and acting like idiots, going out there protecting people like convicted murderers or, you know, sex this or assaulting that or whatever it may be. We just never saw it. They're probably out there. I don't know if there's something in the water. I don't know if they got kicked in the head when they were a baby and they just grew up and now something's off. It's the weirdest thing to me. Yeah, I don't even know if it's Trump derangement syndrome. It might be, but I think it's just, dude, I don't know. It's something that needs to be studied. Like whoever's a sociology major mixed with like a psychology, it's the oddest thing to me. Man, right? Am I the only one that's kind of like, this is odd, this is weird? Like, dude. All right, where were we? So there's redistricting the House map. That's what they're going to do. There's also constitutional ballot measures here that they're doing. So the Democratic agenda in Virginia now includes several high profile ballot questions that will go before voters. You got the Reproductive Rights Amendment, same-sex marriage codifications, voting rights restoration, and redistricting amendments. If you want to know my take, very rarely do I ever give it. I don't think the government should be in the business of marriage. I think that's a religious thing, and that's between you and God. I never really understood. Well, I don't get me wrong. I understand why the government wants to be involved in marriage, but I don't think they should. Marriage is between a man and a woman, and that's between them and their God. And I say their God because people have different faiths. It's a little odd to me. Like for example, if I see the religious aspect of getting married, but if the government's looking at it and there was no religious aspect of getting married, I never saw really the point of getting married unless there was a religious aspect tied to it. Like if it was just a governmental thing, like say there was no religion, right? Like it's really hard to believe, but let's just say there wasn't. Why would you get married? I understand there's hey, you can be married filing jointly. Like there's some like laws that are associated to it that will make it a benefit, but you also have things like common law. You have things like that. That's a whole broader thing. People are like, well, you can do this, Brad, you can do that. Yes, I understand that. I get that. Just proposing different ideas and theories out there. So why does all this matter? Because a purple battleground state with a history of close elections, these policies moves, they could influence who controls the U.S. House in 2027. It could serve as a model of democratic governance in other states and signal potential flashpoints for federal state legal clashes, especially on immigration and reproductive rights. So this kind of does matter here. It really, really does. Excuse me. Matter. Trying to see the chat for all of you guys. Excuse me. Wow, I coughed to the mic. Forgive me. We're still a tad. I don't think we're sick, like contagious. I am feeling a lot better. But there is still remnants of kind of like a cough that will come up every now and then, which is always a little weird. It's like, hey, I'm still here. It's like, bro, it's been 3 weeks. Chill out a little bit. What we have next is the Havana Syndrome. Did the U.S. finally crack the Havana Syndrome? It's always an interesting article to read. So the Pentagon believes it may have solved a decade-long mystery surrounding Havana Syndrome. What the heck? That has been afflicting American diplomats, intelligence officers, military personnel, and other U.S. officials around the world. It has been called Havana Syndrome, a mysterious collection of neurological symptoms first reported in Cuba in 2016. Those would be like dizziness, deliberating, like headaches, like really, really just bad headaches, ear pressure, memory loss, which is weird. And they're also getting like cognitive problems from this. And these unusual cases have been reported in dozens of countries and even within the United States. And it has baffled scientists and doctors as well as national security officials for a long time. Now there's fresh reporting and suggests that the Pentagon may be closer than ever to understanding what's behind it. So what Havana Syndrome is, like what the heck is it? So the term is something that emerged after diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in Havana reported sudden health problems that have begun with particular auditory sensations, some describing loud or high-pitched noises, followed by neurological symptoms. I wonder if this is what all these lefties have that are running in the streets. You know what I mean? Like there's just some sort of rewiring in their brain. They're getting some sort of 5G signal to their head and acting amok. Since then, more than 1,500 U.S. government personnel and some family members have reported similar episodes around the world, like in Europe, Asia, Latin America, even Washington, D.C., believe it or not. And despite the volume of reports, Havana Syndrome is not formally recognized as a disease by the medical community and has defied easy explanation. And over the years, the U.S. government has conducted multiple investigations, which is interesting. The Office of Director of National Intelligence convened 7 intelligence agencies, and in 2023 it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was behind the reported cases. I remember that's kind of a big thing, that maybe like China or Russia or some sort of nefarious actor was going after like our diplomats and other people. But there's new developments, and the new developments are associated with this mysterious device. According to multiple new reports, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, a division of Department of Homeland Security, quietly purchased a device in a covert operation near the end of the previous presidential administration for a reported 8-figure price tag. What? The Pentagon and DHS have been studying the device for more than a year, trying to determine whether it could be the long-sought explanation for Havana Syndrome. Officials say the device is portable, small enough to fit in a back pocket, according to reports. emits pulsed radio waves, the type of energy some scientists have speculated could cause neurological effects. It includes components of Russian origin, though it may not be entirely Russian made. However, the Pentagon, DHS, and CIA have all declined to publicly confirm details about the device or its testing. Ooh. Hear me out. This is a really fun conspiracy theory. Okay, I don't believe in it. But what if there is some sort of device out there, or it's like some sort of program where all these lunatics, this is why they're protesting on the street, is because they're not capable of acting rational, because they got some sort of frequency that's hitting them, that's making them act crazy, kind of like you see in the movies. Look, I don't think it's real. I'm just saying usually there's an explanation as to why somebody's acting a certain way. That could be a low IQ and they've been manipulated, or they've been like indoctrinated and confused. But usually those are the type of people that run off emotion and not logic and reason. And I'm saying that because if you look out in the streets with these protesters, they're not able to have just a rational, logical conversation because they run off emotions and feelings. And the part of them that is logical and reason, because everybody has that, has been so guarded that if you shatter that, their entire worldview is destroyed. And I've talked about this in the past, whereas if your entire worldview is completely shattered, well, you have to pick up the pieces and rebuild. And at that point, you have to face the fact that your entire life, and in some of these cases, these people have lived this life for decades, has been a lie, has been false, has been fake. Can you imagine it's like the Truman Show. Can you imagine living your life thinking something is real and you've gone decades, and then you've guarded yourself for so long when people have tried to crack that wall, that once it's broken, can you imagine the devastating psychological effects of these people? You think they're crazy now? Some people make it through. Some people get red pilled and are able to, pass through the veil and come to the other side and realize and rebuild, and their life is totally changed. And finally, they get married and they have kids, they start retirement, they start building themselves back up again. But a lot of these people, they don't want to face the fact that they're wrong. And I'm wrong about things, which is odd to me because we're wrong about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? If you think about it in your average day, how often are you wrong? Now, some of you are like, I'm never wrong, man. Well, figure it out, man. You are wrong. Okay, I said so. But we've all been wrong from time to time. And by the way, when you're wrong, nothing happens. I mean, there's consequences. Don't get me wrong. How many times can you say wrong in the same sentence? But it's not like you're gonna get harmed, Like, I've been wrong here on the show. I've misread a quote, or I've showed something that was not real, and I apologize for it. You're going to make mistakes. You don't dwell on it. You just correct it and you move forward. But some of these people have been so far gone for so long that I don't think they can ever turn around. And so they have to go and continue this charade and pretend like they're right. And you've seen those on the street interviews. When they're proven wrong straight to their face, they have to either walk away, remove themselves from the situation, because they know that once they are given truth, well, truth will set you free. And then Satan doesn't have his dominion over them anymore. And now we're going back to the whole demonic thing. And that's why I partially believe it's demonic. Because one, that's how I'd imagine demons acting. I think they'd act more amok in, the underground. But I do also believe that these people don't want to face the truth because, well, Satan doesn't like truth. He likes truth and lies. He utilizes both. Kind of like he did with Eve in the garden. But that's here nor there anyway. So we kind of went off on a tangent there. But I think it's real, man. I do think we're dealing with spiritual forces here. And partially, maybe some devices that are acting these people like idiots. Now, what's interesting is I'm curious as to what device was used with Joe Biden to shit his pants all the time. Yeah, there you go. There was something for you. You guys were just spit out your coffee. You weren't expecting me to say that, were you? No, not a single person in here was ready for something like that. But I said it. Because these devices go in your back pocket. Somebody could have slipped this in Joe Biden's little doo-doo drawer and just everywhere. Everywhere. Can I just mention this too? Not that you're going to stop me. I don't even know why I'm asking. See, I told you, I really do look at this as a conversation. It's just that's not two ways. You know, I mean, it partially is because you're in a chat there. I'm surprised you guys don't ask more questions. You guys just sit there and talk about random shit that I'm not a part of. I just want to be a part of the group. All jokes aside, doesn't it kind of encourage you a little bit seeing these psychos on the street and how they act to read the Bible? Like, really, hand to God. I mean, doesn't it kind of... When you're seeing blatant evil like this, doesn't it make you want to get back in the scriptures? Doesn't it make you want to go back to church? Just look at the illegal stuff with these people out there on the streets. They're harming random people that have nothing associated with ICE. But then you can go back to looking at what happened to Charlie Kirk. I mean, doesn't all the stuff that's happening over the course of like the last year, I mean, heck, you can go all the way. I mean, you go back further. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff going on. It has been going on for a decade plus. But I think more than ever, seeing the type of behavior from people and the way that they act, and it's almost like they're not in control of their own thoughts and their actions, that at least there's something to that where it's like, man, I need to get back into the Bible. Like, I need to be right with God. I know for me, that's the case. I ain't perfect. I've always said that. I'm probably more sinful than all of you combined. I'm a sinful man. I am not perfect. But you got to get right with God. Do you know what I mean? You do. And you don't want to wind up like one of these lefty lunatics out there acting amok that, you know, has no faith in God. And you got to pray for those people as well. Brad, how are things out there on the front lines California's infested with? It's bad out here, man. It's bad and good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but it's people crazy, dude. I don't go out all that much. I'm a loner. I've told you guys that I'm a loner. I don't really hang out or talk to anybody. I mean, it's true. It's true. I get smacked a lot. YouTube does come after us. Absolutely true. Jesus is the only way. Yep. Jesus and his words. He's the truth, the light, and the way. It's kind of like what they say in The Mandalorian. This is the way. But my hope is that, you know, some of us had that maybe kind of distance ourselves from God or the scriptures can come back, you know, just read something, you know what I mean? And look at it that way. I mean, all God is trying to do is just get people back to come to him and dwell with him. I mean, really, at the end of the day, the scriptures is all about dwelling with God, obviously cleaning yourself off, you know, getting rid of the sin because you're in a world of sin and all that stuff. And truthfully, removing yourself from the world. I mean, if you really want to go dive deep into the scriptures, if you want to get real crazy, it's all about removing yourself from this worldly realm and spending time in the heavenly realm. The issue is well, how do you do that if you're in this earth, if you're in this rock? The only way to really do that is, yes, obviously go to temple or go to church or go to synagogue, wherever you may go. But really, it's being within the scriptures. If those are the very words that come from heaven and they're put in a book for you to be with, in the same way that I'm reading Lord of the Rings and I can imagine that and dwell in that, you know, the Shire and all that other stuff and in Mordor, then you can ultimately dwell with God in the heavens just here on earth. That's all it is. I mean, if you really want to go even a step further, I mean, when Moses was down here, that was how you were able to spend time with God and the heavens, was going inside the tabernacle. Anyway, that's going really, really far. It's going way, way too far than I wanted it. But my hope is that some of you start opening up the scriptures in the Bible, including myself. Those are words not just for you, but mostly probably for me. I'm acting like a Democrat right now, and I am just, I'm projecting. Well, there's a quick clip here from Anthony Brian Logan, who we always love here. We've been on his show a couple times. Anti-ICE protesters took over a Target in St. Paul, Minnesota. So now they're taking over Targets. I told you. And, I mean, he's right here. And, you know, I'll show you a picture. Anthony's a black guy. I love Anthony. By the way, by the way, behind the scenes, you guys, he's just a good guy. I'm gonna put it that way. He's really, really nice guy. Anyways, I officially have white liberal fatigue. Me too, brother. Me too. And I'm not saying brother just because you're a black guy. I say brother to everybody because we're all brothers in Christ. Hand to God, that's a true thing. Call everybody brother. Okay, well, let's see this. Oh, look, somebody brought their kids. Oh, that's great. Yep, couldn't find a babysitter, so they brought their kids to this.
We are one. We won't stop fighting. We won't stop fighting. Till ICE is gone. Till ICE is gone. Oh, we are ready. We are. The fight's not over. The fight's not over. Love has won. Love has won. Love has won. Love has won. Love has won.
actually sound pretty good. they do sound pretty good, but they're crazy. I'll tell you something. This is look, if we bring back insane asylums, who would have thought that this is what the insane asylums would sound like? I mean, we can keep that funded just from doing shows of having these people sing about how all they want murderers and rapists and stuff in their communities. I hand to God, I promise you, this is not me. That is not me. Stop it in the chat. That is not me. Okay. I know the head kind of looks like mine, but that ain't me. Folks, on audio, they're not carolers, okay? For those on audio that can't see their phones because you're working or whatever, they're in a Target right now. Yes, a Target. One of those, kind of looks like a Walmart. Yeah, they're not. It's outside somebody's house right now doing a little carols or, a Salvation Army. These people, and it looks like this guy stopped his shopping to abolish ICE and make a sign. Abolish, 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 we are one. We won't stop. Jeez, man. Where you know what, like, broke me? Where is this guy right here? This guy right here. Oh, this is one of those, like, even she's like, what the hell is, when you have a lefty going, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Oh, I'm coughing up a storm. I'm laughing so hard. When you have a lefty going, bro, what the heck is going on with this guy? These are the types of people that gave their, they got down on like all their hands and knees in front of those black people one time. And like, they were like apologizing and like repenting in front of all the black people for all the heinous things that white people did over the course of like many generations when they weren't even alive. The problem is, I don't know if this guy's undercover. It's so silly that it seems like it's not real. Man. Another reason to get into the scriptures today, and thank God you're not one of these people. Do you know what I mean? Thank God that nothing happened to you in your life to the point where you're sitting on the floor of a Target, in the middle of the day, singing with a bunch of people that are clearly not mentally there. And here's the other part of it too. And I think it's a very small variable, but I think it's a part of it. I think some of these people just want a sense of community. I don't think these people have many friends, or they're not good living life by themselves. Like I could be lived by myself. Like I could be by myself for months on end. I got no qualms with that. I don't have to talk to a human being for months on end. I'll be fine. Some people just need a sense of community, and this is it for them. Sad, man. Sad. A lot of lost people out there. And anywho, this can't be real. Hold on a second. We're going to end the show here, but this can't be real. What the hell is this guy doing?
We do believe that we need more growth. We need more stability in this world.
Did somebody AI Joe Biden's aviators on his face? By the way, I'm as serious as a heart attack right now. This can't be real.
But we do prefer respect to bullies. We do prefer science to plotism. And we do prefer rule of law to brutality.
Why the hell is he wearing aviators? Jesus. All right. Well, anywho, that's there for you. There's a lot of other news out there, folks. I wish we had longer, but we don't. We got to go make a buck. We got to go make the fedia, the money. But if you could hit that like button, I'd really appreciate that. I heard he had something going on with his eyes or eyes. Yeah, well, maybe he's a reptile. He's a reptilian. What do some people say about the UFOs or whatever, that people are reptiles or something? I don't know. Anyways, I hope you guys have a lovely day. It's really good to see you. Obviously, I took yesterday off. You know, I wanted to sleep in, and I thought about doing the show, but it's like, you know what? It's I can't take MLK's thunder. You know, we all deserve time away from politics and all the craziness of the world. It's good to see you. Glad all of you are doing well. It's good to see everybody. Diana, it's good to see you. I think he had a black guy. Sport the black guys. What, his husband beat the crap? I mean, his wife beat the crap out of him? That was a joke, okay? That was a really, really bad joke. But that was a joke, okay? I actually do think that his wife is a female, believe it or not. I'm not on that parade of it's a male. I do think it's a female. Anyways, all right, well, have a blessed day, folks. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And get in the scriptures a little bit, folks. Just one sentence. Just read a sentence. Read John. Read John. Read John 1:1. Read John. You're not going to find a book called John, okay? You're not. You'll find a book named John, but not John. Oh, boy, I'm out of it. All right, well, we're going to end it before I say something else stupid. Take care, Patriots.